Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, Dr. T living your best life. Right now I am in Panglao, Bohol, and I wanted to hit the beach. This is the first really super nice day we've had in a long time. It's rainy season. It's mid-July and it rains like hell almost every day. It's kind of miserable time to be in the Philippines, honestly. It's windy. You can see it's kind of wavy today, but the skies are nice and clear and it's nice out today. So anyway, hitting the beach, figure I'd do a video and hopefully you can hear me okay. I got a decent microphone, but it's a little windy out here, so I'll try to talk a little louder. Wanted to talk about the topic of online dating and kind of some differences that I noticed between the Philippines and America, and just kind of touch on a couple different topics dealing with that. So most of us, if you've been single at some point, you probably dipped your toe in the online dating pool, right? In your home country. I'm going to use America for example because that's where I moved here from. Now in America, the online dating, it's a train wreck. One, the women are really poor quality. They tend to be very self-centered and think very highly of themselves, and it's funny, they go around and talk to Filipinas and, oh, would you rate yourself just based on looks on a scale from 1 to 10, and they're talking to girls that are 9s and 10s, and in their eyes they'll say, oh, I'm like a 5, I'm just very average. Meanwhile, you could put them in a magazine. They're beautiful, stunning women. So that's one of the big differences, and not being shallow, but just pure looks. And it's not really a thing that, you know, you have to have a thing for Asians. Just the very beautiful women here, very beautiful women. You could be in the middle of nowhere, province, town, Philippines, and the girl working at the sorry store, mom and pop store, looks like you could throw her in a magazine. I mean, just stunning women almost everywhere you look. So the quality of women just based on sheer looks alone is 10 times better. I mean 10 times better. And then again, if you're a woman, you're gonna beat me up in the comments, but size of American women, the women in the Philippines tend to be very tiny, very petite, short and thin. So women in America have kind of for the most part abandoned that mindset, and so yeah, you're just gonna have a lot more quality women here, honestly. But having said that, I've talked about this in other videos, and you've probably watched other YouTube channels that talk about this. You guys really have to be aware of the online scams here. It's kind of funny, I was actually talking to someone really recently, and they were talking about that this guy never been to the Philippines, and his so-called, quote, air quotes, Philippine girlfriend that he sends money to every month and pays for her college. They've never met, mind you. Never met in person. He's never even been here. So I hate to break it to you guys, she's not your girlfriend. And I'm not being an ass, and maybe you're going to jump in the comments and say, oh, that's how I met my wife. We've been together 10 years and blah, 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 blah. And I talked about this on another video. I have the mindset of Vegas wasn't built on winners, right? Yeah, maybe you roll the dice enough times, you get some winning rolls, right? But do you want to take that chance, right? 9 times out of 10, maybe not 9 times, let's say 8 times out of 10, these girls are taking advantage of foreigners. They just are. And I talked, one of my first videos, I talked about this. I talked about the online dating scams. There's a million of them. I need load, I need money for school, I need this, I need that, auntie's sick, my mom's in the hospital, my brother was in a motorcycle accident, you name it. I've heard, I didn't even do it all that long, and I heard them all. It used to be, it got to the point where I laughed so much about it, I used to just mess with them and then ask them like, well, what, when they would bring up the money, I need this, I need that for this X emergency that always seems to happen, I would ask them, oh, how much do you need? How would I go about sending it to you? Just to kind of mess with them. I had no intentions of ever sending someone money halfway across the world that I've never met. So you do you. If that's something you're doing now, I highly, highly, highly suggest that you don't. 80–90% chance that you're getting really, really taken advantage of. And a lot of these girls, that's how they make their living. And that's not BS, guys. That is how they make their living. They spend their day online interacting, because the guys are all over the world, right? They might be talking to you in America. They got another boyfriend in France, another one in Israel, another one in Australia. They're all sending them what to us doesn't sound like a much. Well, I send them $200 US a month. Well, if they got 4 or 5 guys doing that, they're making double, triple what they'd make on a regular job. Just chatting with foreigners, pretending to be their girlfriend. And again, not all of them, right? You're gonna meet some really, really, really good women online also. I'm not generalizing all Filipinas by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying, every time I hear one of these stories, I can't wrap my mind around the stupidity in it. Honestly, these guys that just get taken advantage of, and then they're act shocked, right? It's like I said, going to Vegas drunk and then saying, I lost $10,000. I don't know how that happened at the craps table. Well, because you're a dumbass. Well, I lost my life savings. A Filipina took advantage of me. Yeah, that's because you probably didn't use your brain and you were thinking with your other head, right? So that's the other issue. What you see a lot, and the women know this and they take advantage of it. Maybe you're coming out of a 20, 30 year relationship, right? You're newly divorced, you're in your 50s or 60s, and you're coming to the Philippines and some gorgeous 22-year-old girl is giving you attention. That's the first time that's probably happened to you since college, right? So guys literally go nuts. It's like, oh my God, I died and gone to heaven. I got this beautiful 22-year-old girl that seems to be totally into me, and I really want to help her out because she's trying to work her way through college and she's poor and she has this terrible life. So I'm going to send her $200 a month. Whatever, maybe it works out for you, but best of luck on that. So the other thing is here that just the online dating itself is different than America. And I noticed this is very prevalent. I talked about this before. Everybody likes to say, oh, Filipinas and Filipino people generally speak very good English. I'm not being mean, but I don't think so. I don't find that to be true whatsoever, actually. They speak a little bit of English. They speak enough to get by. So the reason I say that is it shows when you're trying to interact with these girls online. They give you these bizarre one-word responses. You'll ask them a question, yes, no. Well, how am I going to get to know somebody online, chatting, if I get one-word replies? And I would usually say something kind of funny, sarcastically, joking, serious in that way of like, yeah, a little hard to get to know you when you don't talk. And then usually the response is, well, I'm not very good with English. Well, and then when you meet them, you really find out that they're really not that good in English, and it's really hard to have a conversation. So I'm just telling you that up front. So that's an obstacle you're going to have to overcome with a lot of them. And a lot of them do speak very, very good English, and a lot more so than like Thailand, for example. But that's definitely an issue. So going on to what's here, same things we have in America, right? Tinder, Bumble. Tinder is about the same as America. The one thing I'm going to tell you about Tinder is a lot of the prostitutes work off of Tinder. When it says short-term fun, that's slang for prostitute. That means 9 times out of 10, she's a prostitute. And the funny thing is, this has happened to guys I know, this has happened to personal friends of mine, this is not just speculation. They don't tell you that they're a prostitute up front. You're gonna meet them out at Starbucks, you're gonna meet them out, you're gonna take them out for dinner, and they're gonna hang out with you like it's a real date. And then all of a sudden, you're gonna go back to your condo or your rental, and all of a sudden it's going to be, oh, I need 3,000 pesos, I need 5,000 pesos. Guys I personally know have had to throw girls out of their condo, have had to call security to kick girls out of their condos, like, hey, you never said you were a prostitute. And their response is always, well, I thought you knew. No, how did I know that you were a hooker unless you said you were a hooker, right? So that is an issue here that's very common. And you're gonna maybe give me some crap for this one in the comments, like, oh, how would you not know? A lot of lady boys here. And a lot of the lady boys look like beautiful women. And I don't mean that in a weird, unusual way. They're extremely passable. I'm telling you, if I didn't tell you that they were, you would not know the difference. Happened to a friend of mine, actually. Didn't say that in the profile. They went out, never said anything. Real quick, it turned to she wanted to go back to his condo. And then they get back to the condo. It doesn't get intimate, but then he's starting to get some weird feelings, and he says, asks, like, oh, I've heard there's a lot of lady boys here. And then all of a sudden it turns weird of, well, I thought you knew. That's what I am. And that turned into a big ordeal. He almost had to call security and throw her out of the condo, because then she demanded money. And so she was a prostitute and a lady boy. So, and it's funny when you read through people's profiles online dating here, a lot of the girls will say that, I'm not a lady boy, so quit asking. But it sounds crazy, but here you have to ask. You have to ask. Because a lot of them hide it. They're not going to put it in their profile. And they're just hoping for the best when you meet them. After you've chatted with this person for 1-2 weeks, go out of your way, make time, take them out on a date. You think that you're going out on a real date, and it turns out to be a ladyboy prostitute. So, and I'm telling you, I know this for 100% certainty. Like I said, I'm not making these stories up. These are things that have happened to buddies of mine and people that I've chat with here. That's never in my entire life of dating or being single in America or anywhere else for that matter has that happened. So it definitely is an issue here, though, to be aware of. So those are the two most popular. Bumble, if you're not familiar with Bumble, the girl has to make contact with you. So if you match with a girl, you can't just message her. So she has to match with you. The best one that I found was the paying site, and I have no affiliation with this company whatsoever, but it's Filipino Cupid. It's kind of expensive from what I remember. I want to say it was like $50 a month, maybe more. I don't know. It was quite expensive, I think. Maybe that's why it's more successful, because the girls think that maybe you're going to have money or they're more serious on there. I don't know, but that they seem to be more legit girls on there. I did have scammers on there, bunches of them actually. So it's not going to weed those out there either, but there seems to be just more girls that are looking for a real relationship and aren't looking for, quote, short-term fun on there. So I know there's a bunch of other ones. I think there's like a Pina Love. I never tried it. And there's the Christian Cupid, or something like some kind of Christian-based website. I know some of the other YouTubers talk about. I never tried that one because I know that one's expensive as well. So that's been my experience, good and bad. And I talked about this on my bar girl versus province girl video. That I still stick to that mindset. If you want a real girlfriend, I'm not saying that girls that grew up in the city can't be amazing real girlfriends, but again, odds are against you type of thing, right? So chances are you're going to get a better quality woman that grew up in the province or is from a province. So having said that, the other important thing to touch on here is just inundation in dating. And I'm going to touch on this. I'm going to do a separate video on this, but it's not, I've only been here just under a year now, but I've noticed, especially I'm in Bohol and I'm real close to Alona Beach. Like right now, Alona Beach is down there at the end of that curve down there. So having said that, this is a crazy busy tourist spot. It isn't right now because it's rainy season, but so are used to foreigners here. It's inundated with foreigners. They're everywhere. The place is overrun with foreigners, people that live here, people that travel here, etc. So the girls aren't that enamored when they see a foreigner walking down the street, right? But when you go to these province towns, I take my motorcycle out a lot and I just go drive around. They look at you like you're an alien in some of these towns, like they've never seen a foreigner. Of course they've seen foreigners, right? But not that often is my point. So they're real interested in you. They want to talk to you. The kids want to chat with you and hang out with you. And the girls look at you and giggle, and they're very flirty, and you know, you just kind of stand out, right? So what I'm saying by that is a lot of this online dating is going to be very dependent on where you're living. If you're living in Cebu, you're living in where I am here in Bohol, you're living in Makati, BGC. Yeah, you have a lot more quality and quantity of women, but you also have a lot more competition, right? You're not the big fish in the little pond type of thing, right? It's not quite like American odds for guys, where there's 10 times more guys on the sites than there are girls. But what I'm saying is you have a lot more competition here, and good, bad, and different, it is what it is type of thing. But so that's my observations. You're gonna have to use these things to get out and meet people, because it does open up obviously a lot of doors. And a lot of these girls might be in a province that's 50 kilometers away from where you're living, right? And they're happy to get on a bus and come meet you, or you go meet them or whatever. But I would recommend that. And then, like I said, just getting out and driving around. Honestly, I think you meet more people doing that. And I've done more things doing that type of thing than I have anything else here, including just finding apartments and things like that. So, but yeah, same issues we have in America, just a different set of issues. So just be cautious. Just be cautious. Oh, and the other thing, I think I talked about this in another video, and I'll wrap it up. One of the things, there's tons of prostitute scams. That's not my bag whatsoever, but this happened to a friend of mine, actually. One of the scams, and this is not unique to the Philippines, this happens everywhere, and I don't know how he wasn't aware of this, because he's quite worldly. He decided to get 2 prostitutes, brings them back to his condo, and the one steals his watch, steals his wallet, stole his phone. So the one's keeping you occupied, the other one pretends she's going to the bathroom, and then she cleans you out while you're not looking. So a lot of these girls will do that. So he learned his lesson the hard way and had to lock his stuff up after that. So yeah, and a lot of these girls, like I said, they're not going to tell you they're prostitutes. They're just not. On their dating profile, it's going to say short-term fun. And you're thinking, as an American, you're thinking, oh, all she wants is an F-buddy relationship. That's not likely here, just being honest. It just isn't. What is likely is she's a prostitute, and she's just not saying that, and she's not going to write that on Tinder, right? She's going to say, looking for short-term fun. And when you chat with her, she's not going to give you no indication of it until she comes back to your condo. You think you got a new great little girlfriend, and then you go to the bathroom and she steals your iPad and your GoPro, and you have no idea who this woman is. So yeah, be smart, meet them out in public. Oh, that one more tip, sorry, all these things are coming to me. Another one is a big red flag indicator. If she wants to go back to your condo right away, she's a prostitute. Girls in the Philippines are not that way, from my experience. You're not going to meet a girl and 20 minutes later she says, let's go back to your condo, unless she's a prostitute. Happened to a friend of mine. We were out walking around, and he meets this girl just on the side, like outside of 7-Eleven, and starts chatting with her. He gets her number, and I left him alone. I walk away, and I met up with him later that night. I'm gonna stop this until this truck goes by and start back up. Okay, yeah, they're sweeping the beach here. Yeah, so he meets her, and then they start messaging each other. And she says, after a couple messages, she says, which one's your condo? I'll come over. And he gets all excited. He's like, bro, she's coming over. I said, she's a prostitute. And he's like, no, she's not a prostitute. She didn't even say anything like that. We were just chatting. I said, she's a prostitute, dude, trust me. I said, tell her that's fine as long as it's just for fun and not money. So he texts her that. And she says, oh, sorry, it's 3,000 pesos. And he's like, how did you know? And I said, well, no girl in the Philippines is coming back to your condo after exchanging 5 text messages and talking to you for 2 minutes on the street, unless she's a prostitute. Like, that's just how they operate here. And they don't dress like prostitutes. They don't out in the open with it. Some of them do. Down in Lona Beach, they dress like prostitutes in certain parts of Cebu. But for the most part, they don't. They just kind of blend in, right? So, all right. So I think that covers it. And I'm sure I probably forgot some things I'll touch on in other videos. But I wanted to just give you some pointers, some red flags to look for. And I'm not saying stay away from the dating sites. I'm just saying use them with some caution and some common sense. All right, like and subscribe, and see you guys.